All right, thanks everyone for joining. This is the June 7th meeting of the Node.js Inclusivity Working Group. The agenda is pretty light, or we don't have any new items to discuss, but we'll go around and kind of figure out who's going to be working on what. But first, let's go ahead and start with introductions. My name is Brian Hughes. I'm Nebrius on GitHub and elsewhere, and I work at Microsoft doing a bunch of Node.js stuff. Bo?
I'm Bo Gunderson. I do lots of Node work in my day job, which is at personalgenomes.org.
And Charlotte?
Hello, I'm Charlotte, at Charlotte is on Twitter and GitHub, and I'm currently a developer for Marks & Spencer.
And Jenna?
I'm Jonah. I'm NetBattle on Twitter, and I don't really do anything.
And Julian?
Yes, I'm Julian, and I am support engineer at NodeSource.
And Scott?
I'm Scott Gonzalez, and I'm a developer at Clipper Magazine.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining. And for anyone listening on the live stream, thanks for listening in. So in the last meeting, we set up what our medium-term plans were. There were a number of issues that we decided we wanted to tackle in the next 3 to 6 months, give or take. One of the things we didn't do, though, was assign action items to get people to kind of assign to sort of shepherd those through. That's probably my fault. I was supposed to go through and do that offline afterwards, so I apologize for that. So I basically just want to use this meeting to talk about those, figure out who's interested in working on what, so that we can make sure we get some forward progress going. So if we look at the agenda under the activity section, I listed out all of the items there. So the first one is the 132, the project-wide facilitation framework. I've been doing some work on this. I think this is a pretty big one, so I'm up to other people working on this too. I don't know, what does everyone think?
I'll be honest and say I haven't looked at anything to do with inclusivity since our last meeting, burnout, conferences, etc. This seems like a really big thread, though. That's all I have to say right now. I mean, what you said you've been working on things a little bit. What kind of things do you need to continue working on it, I guess?
Yeah, so by little bit, I mean a very, very little bit, just maybe an hour. So what I'm working on right now is just trying to take kind of the information that's in the issue, like the proposal, and just flush that out a little more. That's kind of a bottleneck right now, but once that is up for PR, I think the biggest time-consuming thing for this is going to be creating runbooks. I also think that they're going to be incredibly helpful, though, so I think that'll be a great way to get a lot more people involved. Charlotte?
What's a runbook?
So the idea with these is a runbook's going to be if you encounter this, here's the steps to take, just laying out a bunch of scenarios. This is an idea I floated around to a variety of people, and I don't know, people seem to really like it, because that way it's predictable, repeatable, and all that. And of course, it's not going to be comprehensive. There's always going to be scenarios we didn't think of, but for common stuff is what I'm thinking.
Mm.
And I can also keep spearheading this one up since I've been heading it up so far. That's fine. We've got plenty of other issues to tackle as well. And also, so what I'm kind of looking for, at least my idea, and I'd like to hear what you all think, is coming up with someone who's, I don't know, I hate to use the term, but almost like a project manager for these. Just someone to make sure that it gets done, not necessarily that you need to do the work. And so I found that having someone to herd cats helps. What does everyone think? Does this sound okay to everyone? Thoughts, ideas?
A cat herder would be good.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
But now someone needs to volunteer.
Right.
I mean, I can do that.
All right, what I'd like to do is get someone assigned for each issue, someone who's just going to kind of own that issue. And so we can, well, I guess we can also just kind of chat about them in general. So there's also issue number 102. This is the continuous translation threads for important discussions. This one I have to look at the meeting notes from last time, but I think it was we were going to just reach out and figure out if this is something we should do, which will involve like some research. There's number 61, the Inclusivity Checklist Guideline or Guide for Conference Organizers. I forget where we left off on that one. We had some decision there. 62, pre-conference education event. 96, getting started in Node work. 90.
Sorry.
Yeah, what's up?
I was going to say, I think that we were supposed to close 62 after our last meeting because the pre-conference event was kind of, we assumed that it would be Ashley's event, but we just needed to ask what their thoughts were on that rather than making one, I think.
Oh yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, I think we're gonna follow up with Ashley on that, right?
Yeah.
So maybe whoever owns this, it'd just be their responsibility to reach out to Ashley and work on getting that closed.
I can do that. I can talk to Ashley about that.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I think 62 mostly just becomes a bullet point of 61, which is like a suggestion for if you're running a conference, you may want to do a pre-conference education event, and then we might be able to link to resources for people that run those events, but we wouldn't do much more than just recommend this.
Yeah, I think that sounds great to me. All right, so Charlotte, can you get in touch with Ashley? She's in the Slack, just ping her there, I guess. About 62, see if we can close that, roll it into 61, and also thoughts on 61 moving forward.
Okay. I can do that.
Great. Thanks. Okay, so then there's number 96, getting started in Node. And this is one of the ones where there's like two possible meanings to this. Gosh, okay, I have to admit, I also forgot where we left off on that one too.
I remember.
Yeah.
You can go first.
Oh, I don't remember point as much as you do, so.
So I think we all generally agree that there were two things. One, on the front end website, making it more obvious where you can go to learn Node. But two, I know that I'm sure at some point Jonah was interested, and I'm certainly interested in creating a basic tutorial for the main website to show people from us how to do it, but then going, if you'd like to learn more, go to these places.
Yeah, I was because I'm involved in the website as well. I could, see how we could make that happen.
Mm.
Okay, Jonah, would you like to own that one then?
Sure. Yeah, I have nothing else to do anyways.
I have a question regarding this. I know there's someone, Tracy, working on Node.js education, but that will be mostly a certification, like the certification from the Node.js Foundation. But I don't know if there is like a working group regarding education, of if education is part of the inclusivity working group, like getting people started with Node, like creating tutorials or this kind of material. So this is something we are going to do, or it is part of the inclusivity working group, or there is someone else working on Node.js education.
I think right now we have there's no official team for it, I think, but we have a few people from the TSC, from outside, Node collaborators, whatever. We have a couple of people interested in that. And I think right now the effort we need to make is to get those people together and form a separate team, whether it be a working group or whatever.
I thought the documentation working group was doing some of this as well.
Was it? Oh, I'm not involved with that at all. Yeah, that might be.
Sorry, I think there's a couple of groups that do. So like the documentation does some. I think evangelism does some, if I remember right. I could be wrong. But it's definitely like spread around and no one like fully owns it.
Yeah.
Because currently, I'm part of the evangelism working group, and currently, like the main activity is maintaining a Node.js weekly. and people individually going to meetups and conferences doing Node.js introductions, but it is not like an organized effort right now. So I'm seeing like maybe we need to define who is going to take care of the education part, or if there will be a working group, or this is going to be part of inclusivity, or work together with evangelism to get like organized effort in this aspect.
I think maybe working group might be the right choice, but we definitely have to discuss it.
I feel like the third thing that we want to do on that issue is actually reach out to Tracy and ask their opinions.
Yeah.
I believe that we said that at the end of that the discussion of that issue. I don't have the notes on me right now, but I think we have Tracy now. Why not involve them? I know that they're a member of like 70,000 different Slacks now and a little bit overwhelmed, but if we can find the right way to message them, then why not just say, hey, Tracy, what are your opinions?
Okay, I finally pulled up the notes. I'm reading through this now.
I spoke with her in Part.js and asked something regarding this issue, so I can keep in contact with her and see if we can clarify what would be like the official position in this issue.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. So it sounds like, if I'm summarizing everyone here, the action items for this one, for Jonah, is to reach out to Tracy and the docs working group to and probably get together like a coalition to work on this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of. We'll see.
Am I missing anything?
No.
It will be in between Tracy, the documentation working group, and evangelism working group. If this is like a coalition for.
And us, maybe.
Yeah.
Julianne, since you're also in evangelism, would you like to maybe help work with Jonah on this one? Maybe do like a joint?
Yes, of course.
Cool.
Yep,
Is that
that's
cool with you?
fine.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, so next one up is issue number 91, document program issue structure. Let's see, for this one, we don't really have any comments in our meeting notes on it. So this one is where we have certain things that we've done to help other groups out in the past, like we provided guidance for the Chakra team on the code of conduct for when they open source. It's like things like that. That's what we consider programs. So this is like documenting how, what the process is for a program, like how we document programs. So it's kind of the meta document. Does anyone sound appealing to anyone?
What do you mean by the word program in this context, though? I'm still not getting that, because to me program is do we mean like an event, or do we mean like another team? I'm not quite sure what program means.
The way I interpret it as a program is a service that we provide for other groups.
For example, teaching people how to facilitate things, and the issue would be someone proposing how we should do that.
So this, yes, that's definitely an example of one. And this issue is, so we kind of have, this is part of it. We have this very loose idea of what a program is, and we kind of sort of have an idea of how we go about doing it, but none of this is documented anywhere. So even just documenting what a program is something we should probably do, come up with a better definition. And then once it's there, how do we create programs? How do we get those in? Stuff like that. So it's housekeeping is what this is. And there's not a huge demand for it, so if we want to kind of punt on this, I'm okay with that. But what do you all think?
I'd say that I don't have a good enough definition of program in my head right now to be able to facilitate that.
Yeah, me
Not that
neither.
not that I don't want to, but I don't think I could.
All right, so yeah, I say we punt on this one for now. Are there any objections?
No.
Nope.
Okay, so after,
Do we
yeah.
do we need to keep this issue open? If we don't have, I mean, this is all about what does the template look like for filing a new issue about program, right? And so if we don't really have a good understanding of this, then presumably this is not currently an issue, and so we don't need a template.
I finally understand what this issue means. This is to document new issues for the, is it for the creation of programs, or is it for issues related to programs?
This is for issues related to programs. So here, let me pull this up.
I feel like it's both. Which again, maybe I'm not understanding it properly.
Could be, yeah, there could be a definition for creation and one for things related to programs.
If you go to create a new issue in the Inclusivity repo, there's information in here about, like, for policy issues only, if you have an idea of what the policies should look like, include a summary of it. And then I think we have this somewhere else as well about issue policy. Yeah, and then we have this document about filing issues specifically about policy.
Yeah.
So my understanding is that this issue that we're talking about is creating a document like this about programs. And if you look, since there's no description in the actual issue number 91, it just says related to number 71, and 71 was, let me see, there's only one file that was changed, and it's that policy issues. So number 91 is about creating this document that describes how to file an issue about programs, and if this has not become an issue because people aren't doing this, then I don't think we need to worry about keeping issue number 91 open to document what the process is.
Mm-hmm.
If it becomes problematic and we're getting lots of poorly written issues about programs, or they're getting off topic frequently, then we could revisit this. But I don't think we need to worry about this right now, and we can just close it. I mean, it's been open for half a year, and we haven't done anything, and we haven't had problems from it.
True.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's easy enough to reopen an issue, so.
All right, sounds good to me. I'll take on, Bo, can you make a note? I'll take on as an action item to go ahead and close that issue, drop in a note, stuff like that.
Cool.
All right, so next we have, where did my tabs go? We then have number 138. Oh yeah, this is the IRC moderation policy. It looks like Miles has actually agreed to take that on, so that is already there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to assign it to Alpha as well, because he can't do it himself because he's not part of the group. If that's possible. No, it's not possible. Ignore me.
Okay, yeah. Let's see, does that cover everything? Oh yeah, so we didn't actually get someone assigned to spearhead number 102, continuous translation threads for important discussion.
Yes. So that would be contacting other people like Node.js International Working Group and Localization. I know that some of them aren't very active, but there are some people CC'd in the original issue. So if we can maybe get someone to talk to them and say, how worth it do you think it is?
Yeah, maybe. Sorry, go ahead, John.
No, there was a dog barking in the background. I can't turn that off somehow.
Soundtrack to the working group. Um, so one thing we could do with this issue is maybe we could go open an issue in the internationalization group. Just say like, hey, we'd like a request for feedback kind of thing. We could also send emails to folks.
If we do, we should like single out the inactive ones because there are a lot of international working groups. So maybe like only the active ones. Like I don't know. I think Chinese is fairly active.
Okay. So this is to create an issue saying, here is an issue that we started talking about. We don't want to go any further until we get help to realize whether or not it's worth it.
Yeah. There was a question raised of, are people actually looking for this? Because the request came internally.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember back through the history of this. I feel like that discussion was started outside of this repo or outside of our repo somewhere else.
So
I remember it's so fuzzy though.
the history is documented here. It's the second to last comment on issue 102.
Yeah, so the big thing we need to figure out, I guess, just to put in the issue is, is this something is there demand?
So one thing, this issue has been open for almost half a year, and we do have comments from people who do translations, but I don't believe we have comments from anyone that would actually be benefiting from this. So maybe the thing that maybe our next step is just reaching out to the people who have done or have volunteered to do translations and see if they can find people that they would be reaching that say they would get value out of this. Because if the people doing the translations can't even find people that would be benefiting, then why would we expect that anyone would end up benefiting?
So that could just be a comment within that issue that's already open saying to these people.
Yeah, if we could ping the appropriate people. I don't know if we have a list of all of it, because surely not everybody that's willing to do that has chimed in on this issue.
How do we find out?
I don't know if we have a list of people willing to do translations or not.
Yeah, I guess that would also be related to asking in the internationalization working groups in some way at least, because you probably have native speakers that are pretty good at English as well. I don't know, maybe.
Could probably also just go up to the Linux Foundation and ask them how they handle stuff like this.
The which foundation?
The Linux Foundation.
Oh, right.
Or we could, we could talk to, I assume we have lots of contacts at Google, since they do translations internally for their products. Maybe we can find out if they have to do something like this for discussions, because if they don't do something like this for discussions, then it's probably not that valuable. Right? Or we could reach out to like any browser vendor or any large company that does lots of translations.
So I think there is one kind of difference because think about like how we do things at Microsoft. We obviously have translations.
Yep.
What I've seen though, the focus seems to be on translating the product. And here we're really talking more about like translating the discussions that happen on GitHub.
Right. So the reason I say this is, if companies have teams built around translations for internal messages, which they put into their product, right? So like Microsoft's going to be translating error messages and all of the UI features and everything like that. Then also because of the size of Microsoft, they're going to have people spread across the world. If they don't have translations for discussions going on, right, even internal discussions, then presumably this is not actually a large problem and people get by with like automated translations.
Yeah, I actually don't know on that one. I have not come across any times where discussions are translated, but maybe that's also just the teams I work on. I really can't say.
Yeah, so I don't know, like maybe you could find somebody that would be involved in those types of discussions. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the key thing about this issue is to do investigation. So I guess this can be part of the investigation then.
I mean, is there anyone that feels comfortable taking that on? I know that I think at least 3 of us have taken on an issue already, and I think there is enough for each person to have one. So maybe if we each take on one thing, it spreads the work rather than piles it on. I don't know how people feel about that, but I don't want 3 issues, you know, for example.
I'm happy to take an issue. Sometimes hard for me to talk and type at the same time when I'm doing notes, but if there's one left at the end, I'll do it.
I can reach out to,
sorry.
Yeah, I can reach out to people at like Google and Mozilla and see if they can put me in touch with the right people within those companies.
Cool.
Ooh. Mozilla would be an interesting one, actually, since they do all their work in the open.
Very much so. I'm not expecting everyone to take on an issue, by the way. People can do things that they don't want to do. People don't have to do it if they don't want to. But I just thought I'd put it out there just in case. But I guess if you're happy to do that issue, then yay. Would it be worth? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, would it be worth you to talk to Microsoft about those kind of things if you already work for them?
Actually, yeah. Go ahead and assign. Maybe mention me in that issue, or just assign as an action item. Yeah, I know. Actually, I know just the right person to talk to about that. Now I think about it. So yeah, I will do that.
Awesome.
All right. Any other comments, thoughts on this issue? All right, so that's everything on our agenda for the meeting. Is there anything else that anyone wants to talk about?
I thought we had 138, and I don't know who has has issue 61.
Yep.
Let's see, 138.
138
is IRC moderation policy, and also 132, which was the project-wide facilitation framework.
138 was Miles, I think.
Yep.
So the alpha node.
Yeah, and I've got 132.
Cool.
And 61? Sorry, did I miss that?
61 was
the inclusivity checklist / guide for conference organizers, where we said that maybe we just compile resources rather than create our own.
Yeah. Remind me, Charlotte, were you assigned to 62?
I was assigned to, let's look.
No, 62 is supposed to be closed.
No, I was assigned to it just to ask Ashley if they had any opinions or, you know, would consider their event to be a good enough pre-conference education event. I've already assigned myself to that one, so I will reach out.
Okay. Because yeah, I think Scott, I think maybe you had mentioned, someone mentioned looking at combining 61 and 62, which I think makes sense. I just want to, instead of just kind of going to, just double check, check with Ashley real quick, being like, hey, we want to do this. Does this make sense? Or, hey, we want to close this.
I thought we were combining 62 with the Getting Started in Node.js guide, whereas 61 is the conference checklist.
Actually, 62
well,
is the pre-conference education event. 61 is the checklist guide for conference organizers.
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
So my suggestion was that we would not provide pre-conference education. We would just include it as an item on the checklist for conference organizers, saying
Right.
that you might want to include this, and then we can link to resources that we know of, but we wouldn't actually provide the material.
Okay.
All right. Okay, see, is that everything? Sorry, go ahead.
I would say I'm still not sure who's assigned to 61. I'm happy to kind of start to look for some resources because I know a few, but I certainly don't know as much as we would all combined. So maybe if we each have any resources, we can start to share them within that issue.
Yeah, for 61, I would recommend talking to Jory Bunsen from Boku and Leah Silber from Tilda, because they both run a lot of conferences. We also, I think Alex Miller runs Strange Loop, and I know they do a lot of really good stuff with inclusivity and offering grants and stuff.
I was going to say I'm happy to lead this one as well.
Awesome. I'm happy to help. I'll just, even if it's just a brain dump of resources that I have right now on those kind of things.
Cool. That's great.
Cool. Sorry for the confusion there. I don't know numbers.
All right. So I think we have everything is signed at this point. And anything else anyone wants to bring up? So has this time worked well for everyone? I mean, I know Rich could make it, and I didn't catch it. It's because of a recurring meeting or a one-time. I'll follow up with him on that. But
It works for me,
Yeah, it's fun for me as well.
just as long as
I missed the question.
does this time work for everyone?
It does work for me, yeah.
So what I think I'm going to do is start scheduling the next meeting like as soon as the current meeting is in. So like right after this meeting, I'll go ahead and go schedule our next one. And so hopefully that'll get us on a better cadence. We'll be a little more regular. All right, so with that, we're going to stop the live broadcast of it. Thanks everyone for joining in, and thanks anyone who was listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.